Chairman, just for personal security, over the last 15 years, there's been 10 attempts on my life. In 1996, I was shot 3 times. There have been multiple attempts on my life. And, Chairman, unfortunately, the criminal element, what they try to do is they try to find out things about you, which is of a personal nature. They want to know, where's your business interests? Where are your children living? Where are your properties? So I've made it clear that I'm not going to be providing any of that information. It's just not going to be advanced. And we can sit here all day and you can ask me a million questions. I will not provide that information. I'm entitled to protect my own personal interests and to protect my family interests. And I intend to do that, Chairman.
You have already mentioned that you have 7 children.
Yes, I have 7 children. But I'm not giving all their names out, and I'm not saying where they are and what they're doing. I have the right to protect my family and my interests and my personal interests. And the dirty games that are being played by the criminals that I've been exposing, as I've said prior to this, Chairman, there have been at least 10 recorded attempts on my life. There are people on trial at this moment in time for trying to murder me, for nothing more than exposing their criminal conduct.
The question had been posed or asked whether the reason why you hold citizenship of 3 countries is that you are or might be an agent or a foreign agent, or you're working or doing work for foreign entities, countries.
I think, with all respect, Chairman, I've been in this country now 40 years, and I can categorically state that I have not performed any foreign agent activities in that 40 years. And in fact, my loyalty is to South Africa. If we go back to 1995, as an example, one of my daughters, a young girl then, she's obviously fully adult now, we were putting on at work, we were putting on for the Rugby World Cup. I gave all my staff the afternoon off from 11 in the morning. And we got one of these big screen TVs, which was like a projector, because LCD TVs didn't exist then. And I set up a competition amongst the staff that whoever could come along as the best dressed rugby player or rugby supporter would get a prize. And I said that they could invite their family or children to this function. And I brought, at that stage, I only had 2 children. I now have 7. I brought my 2 daughters with me, Roisin and Sinead. And Roisin was a very strong rugby supporter. And she came along dressed as a Springbok. And one of the guys there said, "Yes, but you're Irish, so do you support Ireland or do you support South Africa?" And she said, "Actually, I support 3 teams. First, I support South Africa because I'm South African. Secondly, I support Ireland because I'm Irish." And the guy said, "But what's the 3rd team that you support?" She said, "Whoever's playing against England." So that gives you the flavor. And that was in 1995, which is, my math's not, 31 years ago. So 31 years ago, we all considered ourselves South African. And I have children that were born here and went to school here, and they considered themselves South African. And I would consider it criminal for me to support a foreign government. It's very easy to have foreign passports because it's very convenient to be able to travel around the world. Unfortunately, because of the levels of corruption in South Africa, the South African passport is not what it used to be. But an Irish passport gets you into any country in Europe, and the South African passport will not get you into any country in Europe without standing in queues and filling in forms and obtaining visas and so on and so forth. So the multiple passport story, Chairman, is a convenience. And I have taken the oath a short while ago, and I want to remind everybody that having taken that oath, I'm stating clearly under oath, I have never acted as a foreign agent in this country.
And just while we're on that, you mentioned that on behalf of your clients, your corporate clients, or members of the public that request or require you to do these investigations?
No, Chairman, so if I turn the clock back, I wasn't really interested in the public sector at all. And I wasn't really interested in, when I say interested, I had no desire to investigate the police or the prosecution service or anything like that. But in 2001, some criminals tried to murder me, and it was after I cancelled the security contract worth about 300 million rand. And they tried to murder me, and they brought an urgent application in the High Court to have the contract cancellation set aside. And then at that moment in time, for reasons which I later found out were corruption reasons, the then Commissioner of Police, Jackie Selebi, got involved. And he took steps to neutralize me from cancelling the contract. And one thing led to another. And after a few years, I realized that actually he was engaged in corruption. So I decided it would be in the public interest to not have a chief of police that was corrupt. So I assembled several lever arch files of evidence, and I handed it over to the Scorpions, and they went and dealt with that matter. And I think it's a matter of public record, Chairman, that after a 3-year trial, Jackie Selebi was sentenced to 15 years in prison for corruption. And I can say that I probably spent about 7 years of my life providing evidence for that investigation to the Scorpions.
No, thanks, Chair. It's not about whether the question will arise or not. That statement by its own nature is wrong, and it must be removed. Before we proceed, we must agree paragraph 3 must be expunged from that affidavit. Because even if he had not written that in that statement, in the affidavit, and someone was to ask a question that is uncomfortable with him, he will bring that to attention and he will make that ruling. Now, if we allow him to proceed with this paragraph 3, it means we allow him to tell us which questions to ask him and which questions not to ask him. We know how we work. We cannot be told in an affidavit, you are not going to ask me questions that happened before 1990. If we allow that to happen, we are setting a wrong precedence. He can't tell us that. He needs to remove that paragraph. We need that paragraph removed. He can't tell us which questions to answer him, which questions not to answer him. If there is a question that is security threat or incriminating or any other matter, you are well placed to deal with those matters. We cannot be told by a witness that you can do anything before 1990, I will not answer. You can even sit here the whole day, I won't answer anything before 1990. We are going to come out of this committee looking like clowns that were told by witness which questions to ask him, which questions not to ask him. He's going to be speaking about other people here. He's going to be speaking about other people here, and he doesn't want to be asked questions about himself. Well, he must be asked questions about himself because he's also going to talk about other people. And he already calls them criminals. So he needs to remove this paragraph 3. It's not about whether the question will come or not. This is just like a principal telling us that we must not go beyond 1990 on this textbook. It can't be correct. It has got everything else to, it smells like supremacy. And we can't sit here with our clear conscience and allow it to proceed like that. We need to be advised from evidence leaders' point of view. I may not know the law. In a situation like this, what do we do? Where this paragraph in a signed affidavit is very problematic. He tells us from right at the beginning, you are not going to ask me anything about 1990. Even if you try, we can sit here the whole day. I want to answer that. And then we say, let's proceed. That is a very disrespectful statement, which must not be accepted by this honorable House.